I'm so thrilled to hear from our next guests. They've been part of the Team Galaxy family for quite some time, and we can't wait to hear from their experiences.
Yes, totally. We're so excited, especially because it is easier than ever to become a content creator. But how do we stand out? That's the million-dollar question. So let's welcome Demi Bagby, Justin Livingston, Nancy J, and our host Maggie to discuss how they stand out in their respective communities of fitness, style, and music.
Bringing the energy. Here we go. I would say that you guys do stand out in a sea of sameness, which I think is really hard for established creators and, creators that are trying to make a name for themselves and figure out, what works for them. And in this world, everyone has a smartphone. Social media channels are free to start, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really on you to lean on your personal brand and what you're good at, to make a name for yourself. So fitness, fashion, lifestyle, and music, communities with a breadth of content, right? So as creators, how are you guys taking the necessary steps to stand out?
Sure. For me, so I do lifestyle, music, dance, travel, all that fun stuff. I'm really into the entertainment space, so it's important that I stay on topic on what's trending, music, dances, all that good stuff, especially if I'm going to be playing music. I need to know what the people are listening to. So it kind of all comes together perfectly for me. Justin?
Yeah, so I do fashion and travel. And the good thing with fashion is it's always changing and still kind of staying truth to who I am style-wise, but being able to experiment with things and try new things and re-guide myself, over the years. So pretty much that's how I try to just keep it up.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? I'm Demi. I hope your lunch was amazing for those of you tuning in live. Appreciate you being here. I post content that is fitness, lifestyle, and action sports. And I would say you got to have fun doing it. It's a little bit tough for us to be up here right now because we don't want to sound redundant at all. So while we're up here, we're going to try to say things that are a little bit different, but it does really come down to being authentic and enjoying what you do, especially doing it for years and years. Like, you change as a human as well as adapt your content. And sometimes it's a little bit tough with an audience as you're growing because they might be following you for who you were 2 years ago, right? So you have to make sure that you're cool with adapting as times adapt, and people are also going to adapt with you as you grow, and that's a big part of your journey.
Yeah. So what about like saturation in your respective kind of spaces? If you start to notice that there's a bit of saturation, what are you doing to kind of combat it and stand out?
I mean, I think just like in any of these spaces, like it's always going to be saturated. But I think the big part of it is we're all different. Like for Team Galaxy, we have so many different people that do different things, but we share a lot of similarities, personalities, the way that we approach content, the way that we film and edit. And when you kind of put your own little spin on everything, you still are going to stand out regardless. As long as you believe in what you do and like love what you do, it's going to show.
Yeah, I think personality is the key there. Staying true to who you are and just be you. Let you shine, and people are going to love you for you, and that's what you want. You don't want people to love you for not you, right? You want them to keep following you, to enjoy your personality, your smile, your hair, your style, the way you dance, whatever it is.
In case y'all haven't noticed, we're the curly hair gang up here today, which we realized in the back.
And I'm a faker. I'm an imposter. So Demi, I know that you take a unique approach to your content as it relates to your platforms and kind of building the right content for each platform. So talk me through that process a little bit.
Y'all, a big part of my career that we've been super blessed with is our whole team has kind of taken a wider approach when it comes to content and making sure that we do push all platforms. And I know that is so challenging because there's so much content. And like you said, too, it's such a saturated market and every platform is kind of saturated in their own way. So a big part of my business and how we've grown to where we are now is making sure that we are tailoring content towards certain platforms for those trends. We are posting a lot of content on all the platforms because, yeah, it can be easy to be like, oh, I got great views on Instagram. Like, I'm going to post more Instagram stuff. Like, we all know, like, to have social media, we all have to have some sort of ego, right? We all have to be able to take the punches. We have to be confident in posting different parts of ourselves that some people might not. So, one, doing that on all the platforms is super important to your growth and long-term wise. Like, I've been doing this for 8 years, so coming now, like, I'm happy that I did start over on multiple platforms multiple times, because that's kind of putting that ego down and saying, hey, like, I might be great on Instagram, but I don't even have a YouTube. Like, how do I start? But you have to start, and you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that's
And not worry about like
not you
starting
like,
at
honestly
ground zero.
the views.
Yeah.
Okay, it's tough because we all want great views, but like looking back and as I continue to grow, I really do want to hone back in on having fun and being confident with what I'm doing. And like I said, I got into racing in the last year and a half, and my audience is so used to health and lifestyle that when I post car content, they're like, huh, who is this? And I've had to get used to saying, hey, like, that's who I am. Like, thank you for being part of my journey for 8 years. You're hopping on the car train with me, okay? Like, this is what I like to do, and you're coming with or you're not. And you got to be cool with that. So it's really important to just stay authentic to who you are. And if you're really trying to make it a career and make it long term, like, you got to be cool with people coming and going and adapting with you as you change.
Yeah, flexibility is definitely key here when you're trying to be successful in this space. Being able to adapt to different platforms and like, okay, maybe you don't want to have a TikTok, but you got to get on and get with the trend. So
Yeah.
And it's also like everyone knows there's so many new apps coming out all the time.
Yeah.
So it can be like a little daunting to be like, do I want to start on this one? Truth is, you probably will, because in like a year it'll be the big one, and you're like, why didn't I do this?
Yeah. What about like creating custom content for each channel? Do you find that a struggle, or do you think that it's simple? Use same content, or,
I think you have to repurpose a little bit, like depending on the platform, but you can still use the same content, maybe tweak it a little bit here and there for whatever you're posting on.
yeah, I think definitely feeling out the different platforms to see like what style works better on one platform versus another. And then, like you said, tweaking that, maybe change up the frames or the format or whatever it is you're posting.
Yeah, I definitely think with our team's approach that we've taken the last year and a half has been more exclusively filming for each platform. And I've seen a lot of growth in that because, as we know, every platform has different programs that are launching all the time. And TikTok, for example, has the minute plus. And like for me, I'm like, dude, I can't flip for a minute straight. Like, what am I supposed to do? But I have been like, okay, this is hard for me because I am more of the shorter form unless I'm filming like our documentaries. A minute and a half, and I've been doing that. I've been doing minute and a half, 2 minutes, and it's been super great. And obviously, like, there's a whole monetization, whatever. But like, I've had to adapt with that, and I do think that tailoring your content towards platforms, especially for what they're promoting during that time, because it's not only just the trending content, it's also like you kind of have to feed into what the platforms are pushing, right? Because we didn't have Reels before, and then all of a sudden it's Reels, and then there's YouTube Shorts, and you're like, wait, I should do YouTube Shorts. And as you guys have seen as creators, like a lot of people have grown on YouTube because they were like, okay, I'm going to do the Shorts. So it's really staying up to date with the trends, but also what the platforms are pushing during that time.
100%.
Agreed.
Yeah. What about collaborations? Collaborations with brands, but also other creators. We love collaborations.
I love collabs, y'all.
Yeah.
How do you think it
If I
does?
could make a video with everyone in this room right now, I would.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys
I love
heard it.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's go. So
After
right now.
this. But you guys find value in that to kind of, expand your reach, but also learn from other content creators.
Yeah, I think it's always good because this is a solo business, like a lot of times. So like you get really focused on what you do, that then, even stuff like this, like even if it's just like meeting other creators and seeing how they work and getting inspired by them and being like, oh, wow, I could do this a little different, or that would be so cool to add into my video too, And then collaborating with them together is always so fun because you get to see both of your styles in one.
Yeah, I think collaborating with other creators is great for reaching different demographics. Like for me personally, I love promoting my Caribbean culture. So if I'm able to collab with Demi or Justin, now their demographic, they're gonna see that. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know like that was a thing. I never heard this song before. I never saw this. I didn't know you eat that. Like it's great to share within cultures and just like within content.
People love to see the collabs. Like I'll collab with someone that I just met or like I didn't know 2 years ago, and my followers will be like, 2 of my favorite people in one video, and like you would have never guessed that, right? So not only does their audience have so much opportunity, like both of you guys together, but it's also cool to bring that like social media into real life, because you don't know how long that person's been following the other person, and then it's like you just keep introducing more. And the world is so small too. Like from the brand side of things, they love to see you collabing with other people because it shows that you're easy to work with and you're fun and you're open, and it's not always about the numbers and the views and the followers. Like you can just enjoy the career that you have and the content that you're making and just do it together because the world's a better place together.
Agreed. Having you guys collab here right now is perfect.
Yes.
Amazing. So talk to me through a little bit about y'all's creative process. So I know you guys spend a lot of time on, getting your creative right and getting your content right. But I know that can be a rigorous process as well.
I mean, I think it depends on too, like if I'm doing something with a brand or collaborating on like a sponsored content, of course it's like a lot more stressful. But I think, I mean, for me, like everyone wears clothes, dresses up, you know what I mean? Fashion is fun. It's like an extension of your personality. And just like social media is, if you know me in real life, you know I am crazy, I'm loud, I'm
Very
wild.
fun.
And on social media, like I started out with a blog, I would do like travel vlogs, and it was much tamer. And I realized I was like, oh, I'm not really infusing my personality that much. And once I started kind of doing more fashion content, like I wear crazy stuff. So it's like, even if you're not talking to me, like you're gonna be like, oh, okay, like there's something going on there.
That's why you're on the standout panel, right?
That's right. That's right.
Stands out.
My creative process is interesting because I write down everything and there's like so many things, but today I'll feel like, oh, I have an idea, I want to do this, and forget about the 50 things that I just wrote down yesterday. And so I'll have like a long list of things that I have to film or ideas. But for me, it's like, I love taking requests from my followers too, like building that community and having them say like, hey, I just saw this dance or this song. Can you make a dance for this? Or can you mix this or mash this up? And I'm like, sure, let's do it.
I'm the same as Nancy. Like tomorrow I'm going to film this video. I'm sure y'all that create in any space have the same thing, and then you wake up the next day and you completely scratch that idea, because I think a big part of content is that emotional aspect, right? Like with your fashion, you're like, maybe I want something less tight today, more tight, I'm feeling good, like maybe my dance moves are a little flowier today. So it really is a feeling, and I think that's the toughest part being a creator, is as it becomes a job and we do work those 80 hours for the 40, right? Like you have to make sure that that feeling is still present in your content, because that's where the authenticity comes out. So that's really important, and that feeling, like it's really great to have that every day as a creative. Like you're like, okay, I'm just trashing that whole idea from yesterday and we're starting over, but that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about brand partnerships, collaborating with brands? I mean, Demi, I know you kind of, you've kind of in the years past kind of said, I'm going to focus on a strategic approach to partnerships, right?
Absolutely. Okay, this one's on me. Okay, here we go. So there's a difference between like the one-off partnerships, right? That usually they're like, okay, here's a cool paycheck. But having brand partners like how we work with Samsung and we're Team Galaxy is that authenticness, because we're building a story long-term with our followers. And I do see in the last 3 years a different approach with followers, especially new creators. They're like, cool, I'm going to do all of these one-offs. This is great. But is that what you want to be seen as your future self in 5 years? Is that a brand that you want to align yourself with? Like for me, especially being in the health and wellness industry, I'm like, if I'm a mom, like, would I be cool with my daughter seeing this? Like, as I get older, am I going to be happy with the way that I portrayed my body, myself? So a lot of that comes down to who you are, like where your guardrails are for your future. And it's super awesome to kind of see how brands can play into that. And long term, it's really allowed me opportunities to be more creative, have more spontaneity with the content we're doing. And it just goes with the followers so much better than it would just like, oh, that's another ad swipe.
Yeah, because they're also
Like people are part of the story.
one off. You just forget about it later on, and then, you know, when you actually are creating, like you were saying, like a bigger story with a brand, that you're letting your followers know, like, I trust this brand trusts me, like we're creating synergy here. And like with Samsung, this is my 3rd year, and it just gets better and better because now my followers know, like, I'm really part of this family. So it's like
100%.
it's just nice, like knowing that there are brands out there like Samsung, like other partnerships that I've had, that want to invest in me and make me want to do better, like content for myself and my followers. I just think it's nice to have these long-term partnerships.
Yeah, and I can see like as someone who's just starting out your creator journey, I can see how it's easy to say, I want all of this. Yes, 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 I'll take all the brand deals. But then you want to think, like Demi said, long term. Think about your brand and what you want people to view you as and how you want them to see you. Like, do you want 5 years down the road someone finds a video of you like selling foot cream or something, just some random, have you even used foot cream? Like, no, right? So just think about things like that.
And also you can like pitch, like if you do a one-off project with a brand that you really truly like, you're like, oh, this product is amazing, you can keep reaching out to them. They may not have the budget right now to do another, sponsored content, but like down the line be like, I really am a fan. Like I want to like have this relationship with you guys. So you can always pitch to the brands and products that you really like.
Yes.
For sure. And I think too, sorry to add to that, like
Please.
don't be afraid to share online the brands that you love. Like before when I first started, I was like, I ain't doing it for free, right? But you can't think like that, because if there's products that I really enjoy, I'll be like, y'all, like I found this on my own. I genuinely love this product so much. And then the brands do often reach out. They're like, oh, thank you for that authentic story. Like they don't get that a whole lot because there's so many like agencies and stuff involved that sometimes they don't get to hear it from the creator themselves. So when they do, it's just super awesome for everyone.
And also it makes it easier on the brands. I mean, they're always looking for people, like, they're scouring the internet for creators to, do these partnerships with. And when you do the hard work for them, you post about the brand before they even contact you, they're like, oh, thank God, like I'm going to add you into this list.
Love that. So you guys have talked a little bit about like spontaneity and content. What kind of tools or process do you guys have when you're out doing something organically, but you want to capture content and, it's not a planned piece of content? Like what is kind of your process? Do you guys just on the spot, this is going on stories, or do you kind of take it back, edit it, make it a little bit more curated? Where's the balance?
I think it's a little of both.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I think so. I mean, probably everyone in here, like when you're out and about, like you're like, oh, that's a cool place for a photo, or like that'd be a cool video, or like you start, the wheels are turning in your head. Sometimes it's going to be on the fly, but a lot of times I'll like kind of catalog it in my head, come back, and then like try to do a little bit more polish on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, stories, I'll definitely be oversharing. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see literally almost everything. Like
But
from
foot cream.
No, not no foot cream. I should probably use foot cream, but no.
Reach out, y'all. Okay, so I think like to tie it together, what is y'all's advice for any up and coming creators, people who have, the resources to start a personal brand online? How do they kind of stand out, be consistent to who they are? What's your advice to them?
I think it's important. So we always hear the term be authentic, but what does that mean? Like how? How do I be authentic? How do I be myself? I think for that, my answer to you would be make sure you're confident in who you are. The key is just if you're confident in who you are, that shines through, and you don't have to like pretend to be someone else online, or because you can tell, right? When someone's making a video or just posting a selfie or something, you're like, oh wait, this kind of looks a little like doesn't translate properly, right? But if you're just out there like, yeah, for me, I'm like, woohoo, let's do this, and they can tell she's not forcing a smile, she's not forcing fun,
Yeah. And to add on to that, I mean, I think too, it's hard to be authentic. It's like, well, what if I don't know who I am right now?
Yeah.
Like, or what if I don't know the kind of content I want to make?
Which is totally cool.
Which is
Yeah,
totally
and it
fine.
takes time,
And
right?
share that. Be like, dude,
Yeah.
I don't know who I am right now, but I'm
And
here,
that's
okay?
part of the process.
Yeah.
But it's like find something that you really truly love, because it's not going to feel hard or like work when you're creating content around it. And then once you're there, it's just experiment, like keep pivoting and finding out exactly what lane you want to be in. And honestly, it gets a lot easier like once you realize like where your focus is.
Would you say listening to your audience to
100%.
help
Yes.
guide that is good advice?
For sure.
Definitely, yeah.
That's amazing.
I love it.
You guys are
Today's so fun. I love this.
Thank you guys so much.
Oh, yeah.
This is perfect. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Cue the dance music.
I know.
Y'all go ahead.